Maybe the only slight surprise to me was Merry. Not because I don't rate him, but just because I didn't think, I think if you'd have asked everyone, a month or two ago whether Merry would be here next year, I think 99% of us would have said no. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but like I say, not too disappointed. So yeah, maybe that was the only surprise. Luke Norris, obviously, we still don't quite know what will happen with him. Obviously, I think discussions are underway. And again, he was probably one of the players that I'd say split the fan base. I think maybe 50% would have been happy to see him move on and 50% happy to keep him. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, no, there was no major surprises from my point of view.
Let's go through those players, Merry and Norris, first of all, then. So for Chris Merry, for anyone who was around during the 1990s as a Tranmere fan, they might recognise the comparison I'm about to make. He reminds me a little bit of Alan Morgan in that he's at Tranmere and he's been at Tranmere a while. And then you look at how many appearances he's made, and actually it's not that many. So in his 3 full seasons at Tranmere, he's only made 58 league appearances, of which 16 have come off the substitutes bench. He's made a further 8 appearances in the EFL Trophy, 2 in the FA Cup and 2 in the League Cup. So in terms of football during his time at Tranmere, he really hasn't played that much. Only 15 appearances this season, 5 of which came under Ian Dawes. So he's only played 10 times since Nigel Adkins took the reign, but 7 of those appearances have come since the end of start of March. So I am surprised, as you are. One, because I feel like he's the kind of player who probably needs to move on and gain more first team football for the best of his career, because he's 25 years old now. He's not like he's some spring chicken. And also, I'm surprised that Tranmere have extended because he hasn't played that huge amount of first team football, but he had the option on his contract and therefore he had no choice. If the club wanted to extend, he simply had to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, I mean, the other way to look at it is he won't be on big money. I would suspect his wages will be fairly cheap. He can play in a number of positions. He can play fullback. He can play in the centre of the park. I suppose he is that type of player that, maybe in the grand scheme of things, you would like to have in your squad because, like you say, he can play a number of positions. And yeah, he's not going to take up a huge amount of your wage budget. I'm thinking like a la Gareth Edds. We used to have him, who didn't really, used to play a few positions, didn't need a bit of a utility player. So it's the only thinking I can sort of see maybe behind the decision to keep him. As I say, I'm not overly too bothered. I don't think whether we kept Chris Merry or moved him on will make a huge difference to how we do next season. And like I say, I would suspect Nigel sees him more as a bit of a utility player. But as you say, he's 25 now. So I think from his point of view, I think if I was in his shoes from a personal point of view, I'd want to kick on and, go somewhere where I can really, have a starting position every week, which I doubt he'll have here. But yeah, as I say, probably just a utility player moving forward.
The other thing is that midfield is an area of concern. It has been an area of concern for a couple of seasons since Jay Spearing left pretty much. 2.5 seasons really, because Jay Spearing's legs went halfway through that final season that he was here. Yet Tranmere now have 3 central midfielders from the previous campaign signed up in Regan Hendry, Brad Walker and Chris Merry. Yes, some names have gone, but in the large part, it's the same central midfield that have struggled over the last year or so, which to me is a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an issue of mine when I come to look at the players that we've kept, and I'm sure we'll go on to talk about it, but I felt the same with the defence when I looked at the defenders we'd kept, and you think, well, this is the defence that's seen us finish 16th this year and concede quite a lot of goals. So, yeah, I sort of felt the same with the midfield. And I think when you go through the squad, my concern is a lot of the players that we've kept, you would look at as, I think quite a lot of them will be on decent money, and I think quite a lot of them you would look at as first-team players. So, does that leave the scope? I know Nigel's spoken that maybe we need to bring 9 to 10 players in. Do we have the budget to be able to bring 9 to 10 first team players in? Because, you go through the list of players that we've lost, people like Bello and Starbuck, Pike, McAleer. These were all, Paul Lewis. These were all players that just were very much on the periphery of the squad and have, contributed very little. So what you're saying is if you want to turn a team that finished 16th into a team that can be promotion contenders, you're going to have to bring in first team footballers to add to what we've got. And like you pointed out with the midfield, it worries me that we've got 3 players there in the centre of the park who all played a lot of games this year, or Regan Hendry certainly did, and Walker played a decent chunk. and there isn't maybe the manoeuvre, to bring in a couple of players in there that are going to push into the first team. So, yeah, that would be a little bit of a worry. I would be with you there, I think.